Do you sometimes have these moments when you want to shoot, but you don't really know what you want to shoot? I certainly have that at times. It's in these moments that I try to remember something. I try to think back to the basics, the essence of photography, which is what I would like to do with you in this video. I believe this answers the question to what makes a photographer when everyone takes photos. Back when cameras weren't literally just a built-in feature of a pocketable device that everyone carries with them, being a photographer would sometimes simply mean a person with a camera who uses that camera to take pictures. But nowadays it is doubtful whether that is still accurate, and also with the ever-expanding capabilities of AI simulating photography, one can easily lose sight of what makes a photographer. But there is one thing that I think will never fade, and it's honestly, in my opinion, the only thing that actually matters in photography. What makes a photographer when everyone takes pictures is the essence of photography, which I would like to expand on in this video. Now, before you click away thinking this is just a silly, wordy video in which I give you some theoretical mumbo-jumbo that somehow relates to photography but doesn't translate into actionable steps, let me tell you this. What I want to talk about today is certainly actionable, but it needs some mildly abstract theoretic basics covered. So why don't you prove to yourself that your attention span is not completely fried yet, and allow yourself to sit through a bit of philosophy with me that, in the end, will make sense and actually make you a better photographer. Pour yourself a cuppa, lean back, and let's go. So one thing I want to make clear is that I'm not speaking to you from above as this guy who's figured out photography. Not at all. Just watch my last video if you want to see me struggle. I'm just a normal guy who's been on this journey of photography for a little while, and while I certainly do not have everything figured out, there are some things that I've learned on the way that I feel like I should have learned earlier, which is why I'm making this video. So what do I mean by the essence of photography? It is the essential ingredient that makes a photograph a photograph. What differentiates a photograph from, let's say, a painting? One could argue that photography visually reproduces a copy of the real world. But does it really? Or do paintings not? An incredibly skilled realistic painter would argue that they just as well reproduce a visual copy of the real world. I'd argue that this is not a definitive difference between the two, so this is not an essential ingredient that makes a photograph a photograph. What does, however, is the factor that is time. Unlike paintings, a photograph captures a moment in time. Time is such a weird and abstract concept that provokes an existential crisis if you think about it too much, but photography has the power to capture a little slice of it, of time. As Susan Sontag put it in her famous writing on photography,
"One can't possess reality. One can possess and be possessed by images. One can't possess the present, but one can possess the past."
Despite her overall more pessimistic view on photography than mine, I love how she points out the essence of photography here. There is reality in front of you. Whatever reality may be, let that be a philosophical discussion that we spare ourselves of today. And with this little machine that we call a camera, you can transform a piece of that reality into either a chemical interpretation, in the case of film, or a digital one, in the case of modern cameras. And while this too can arguably be counted as an abstraction of reality, I think it is so much closer to reality than paintings are that it is fair to claim that with photography we gain the power to possess a piece of the past. Now, what does this realization change in my perception of photography and my way of shooting? In my case, there are a couple things, and those I would like to share with you now. Quick thing before we get to that though, in case you've ever wondered where I made my website, the answer is Squarespace, which in my opinion is a fantastic platform for website building. They've been a continuous supporter of me and this YouTube channel. I myself have been using Squarespace for over 5 years at this point, and it's perfect for people like me who are creatives but not web developers. They're an all-in-one platform, so with your subscription you can make a website, host your content, register your own domain name, sell products, track analytics, and much more. They have this lovely intuitive drag and drop editor called Fluid Engine, which is so easy to use and lets you customize the layout and design of your page. If you need some help when getting started, you can start off with one of the many professional and beautifully designed templates, which you can then customize to suit your own style. Or you can work with Squarespace's AI, which enables you to build a website in minutes by describing it and answering a few questions. All in all, what I think Squarespace is great at is combining creative freedom with ease of use, which I really appreciate. Try it out for yourself. You can head to squarespace.com for a 14-day free trial, and then when you're ready to launch your website, you can go to squarespace.com/TeoCrawford to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you so much to Squarespace for continuously supporting the channel. I sometimes notice myself getting lost in the technicalities of photography, trying to find the optimal lighting, the most striking composition, or producing the most pleasing colours. However, it can be helpful to ignore all of these points and just zoom out sometimes and view the big picture. And what I've seen to be fundamental to photography is the fact that we have the power to capture a little slice of the past. What this power leads to is that certain photographs that at first might seem uninteresting just need time to mature and reveal their quality, because the one thing that makes the photograph interesting might simply be the fact that they present a little slice of the past. Recently, I had to think of this again while visiting my parents because my mum showed me a couple old prints that she had found at her mum's place and brought home. Those were small black and white prints with photos of the family, including her when she was a little child, and the city where she grew up, Tachikawa, which is at the west edge of Tokyo, a city that I too am quite familiar with because my granny still lives there, and I've spent a lot of time there, especially in the past years. And those photographs struck me because they clearly revealed how much the city had changed. One thing I remember is the train station. Tachikawa has a big multi-story train station, but back when those photographs were taken, it was nowhere near that big, which to me is unimaginable. It's a reality I never experienced, seeing as it was roughly 20 years before I even entered this world. And for me at least, that alone suffices to make those photographs quite special. Sure, their quality isn't exceptional. My grandpa was fond of cameras, but certainly not a master of photography, but it doesn't really matter that much. What matters is the aspect of time. The photograph holds a slice of time, a time long gone, and that is what makes the photograph special. The conclusion this has led me to is that special photographs sometimes only reveal themselves much later, and you never know, but you can try to guess, which ones are going to mature well. So when I don't know what to shoot or feel like my photography is lacking, I like to remind myself that the perfect composition and perfect lighting, all that sort of stuff, is secondary, and the simple act of documenting time is primary. This, of course, should probably not be misunderstood or abused even as an excuse for bad photographs. Just the fact that my photograph documents a moment in time doesn't make it a good photograph and excuse a bad composition or other bad technical decisions. The art of photography, I suppose, is combining all of this. Taking a photograph that is well composed, beautifully lit, technically sound, and captures a special moment that will lead to the photograph gaining more and more meaning with its maturity. That is what I, as a photographer, strive for. It's my ambition. However, I, and I think many other photographers, sometimes forget that aspect of time and merely value their photographs according to their technicalities, which I think is wrong. I think if the technicalities aren't perfect, but good enough, whereas the moment captured is special for whatever reason, that is enough to make a good photograph. And this motivates me, especially in times when I do not know what I actually want to shoot. When in doubt, think back to the essence of photography, and the rest will follow. So now let's attempt to find an answer to the question, what makes a photographer when everyone takes photos? I'd say it comes down to the conscious decision to take photographs that others don't. When a family dad takes a picture of his family on holiday, that makes for a lovely photograph, but arguably it doesn't make him a photographer. But someone who goes beyond that and consciously chooses to be present and notice things others might miss, to then capture that in order to be able to show the subject so that the people who missed the moment get to see it as a photograph instead, that person might be a photographer. There's no clear objective answer here, I suppose, but to me, a photographer is someone who shares, or even just cherishes for themselves, moments that others missed. And that doesn't only include special moments, but also mundane moments, such as the train station in Tachikawa back in the 1970s. I was not able to witness that moment because I wasn't born yet, but thanks to the photograph, I still get to see it. And it is in these photographs that the technicalities don't really matter. One might say to a simple photo of a train station, "Oh, I could have done that, there's nothing special about that." But they didn't do it. The photographer, though, did take the photo, despite it just being a train station. And that, I think, is the difference. So for me personally, that is what I ultimately strive to achieve as a photographer. I would like to combine technical skills, a good eye for aesthetics, and a good sense for moments and fleeting things worth capturing. I think if I can combine those aspects in a photograph, I will have a pretty good one. But if I don't manage to always combine all of these aspects, the simple act of doing it, capturing a moment in time consciously to transport that slice of time into the future, maybe that alone is sufficient to make a photographer, and the rest is nice to have. That is all for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Before saying goodbye, I'd like to say a massive thank you to the lovely people supporting me in my work on Patreon. Thank you so much to each one of you. If you're interested in Lightroom presets, color grading tutorials, and other stuff like that, you can check out my page via the link in the description. Also, I have a print shop, by the way, in case that is of interest to you, also in the description. With that said, I hope to see you again soon. Until then, goodbye.